Broadcasting from various countries around the world using wireless technology, this is 4G Uncovered, a 4G on Solutions UK podcast. I'm David Frith, and joining us today is Rob Mustarde, VP and General Manager at Xclaim Wireless. Thanks for joining us today, Rob.
Pleasure. Thanks, David. Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem. So to start with, could you give us a brief background to Xclaim Wireless and Xclaim's relationship with Ruckus?
Okay, so I think the first thing to point out is Xclaim Wireless is not a company or an entity in its own right. It is essentially a product line, and as you correctly point out, it's part of the Ruckus Wireless organization. And really, whilst the mainstream Ruckus portfolio of products, and that's the ZoneFlex product line and Zone Director Controller product line that most people are probably familiar with, what we've done with Exclaim is produce a completely new product line which is specifically aimed at the, what I would describe as the lower end of the market, the small business customer. And we've created a product line with a reduced complexity feature set, but still something which is relevant to small businesses, certainly provides more relevant functionality than you would find in a consumer brand product, but at the same time, which is still very, very easy to use and at a price point that people are comfortable with. And we created a new brand because we did want to make sure we created clear separation between the traditional ZoneFlex portfolio and the Exclaim portfolio. We didn't want people buying, let's say, a lower-end Ruckus product and then expecting features and functions and type of support contracts that we would offer with those ZoneFlex products with the Exclaim portfolio. It's a very different positioning and product feature set, so that's why we created the different brand.
Okay, that's excellent. Could you talk us through the different models in your indoor access point portfolio, the XI1, XI2, XI3, and their targeted applications?
I think from an applications standpoint, it's not that we have specifically aimed the products at different. Certainly at this point in the product line's lifetime, we're not aiming at specifically different applications per se. It's more really the good, better, best in terms of the level of functionality and performance that the customer may be looking for, that small business customer that we're aiming this product line at. So the XI1, and by the way, we have a very simple naming scheme. So if you say a product with the prefix XI, it means Exclaim Indoor. We do have an outdoor product as well called the XO1, and XO stands for Exclaim Outdoor. So whenever you see those prefixes with our products, you'll immediately know whether it's an indoor or an outdoor product. And then the numbering scheme is simply the order in which the APs will get released over time. So from an indoor standpoint, our first product and our most entry-level product, if you will, is the XI1. That's a single radio 802.11n access point. That single radio can be set on either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, one or the other, but not both. It's a 2x2 device, which means it can support up to an aggregate maximum throughput of 300 megabits per second. It supports an 802.3 AF PoE gigabit Ethernet port. So if a customer has a PoE switch, then they can plug this AP directly into that and it'll work just perfectly. And if they don't have a PoE switch, we do include a PoE injector in box, which they can use to power the device. So that's the XI1. Next product in the portfolio is the XI2. That's a dual radio 11N access point. So that will support both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz concurrently. Again, it's a 2x2 device, aggregate capacity up to 600 megabits per second. And again, a single GigE PoE port. And then the third product is our premium product in our indoor product line today. That's the XI3. That's an 11AC access point that has an aggregate maximum throughput of just under 1.2 gigabits per second. Again, comes with a GigE PoE port and standard 802.3 AF support on the PoE front. So that's the indoor product line. And then we do also have an external product, which I'll tell you about. That's the XO1, as I mentioned previously. That's essentially an outdoor version of the XI3. So it's an 11AC access point, just under 1.2 gig of aggregate capacity. All of the access points are managed. Well, first of all, from an antenna standpoint, all of the access points have internal antennas. both the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz antennas. The one caveat to that is on our external product, on the X01, you do have the option of selecting to use an external 5 gigahertz antenna. So it does have 5 gigahertz antennas built in, but if for any reason you wanted to put some alternative omnidirectional or directional external 5 gigahertz antenna, you have the ability to do that. All of our devices, one of the unique things about the product line is that we have a free-to-download app run on an Android or an Apple iOS device, and you can monitor a network of Xclaim access points through this app, which we call Harmony. So you basically have full ability to control a network of APs, and there's not a PC in sight in terms of having to have a wireless LAN controller or download controller software, load on a PC or anything like that. Everything can be done through that management app.
Okay, great, thanks. That leads me on to our next question, which is why should customers look to purchase the Xclaim X01 outdoor access point over the Ubiquiti Unify AC Outdoor?
We are an 802.3 AF compliant product, so if your customer already has a PoE switch, then an AF switch is a lower power PoE switch, and people are more likely to have, from an installed base standpoint, AF PoE switches, and we support that, so our AP will run very happily from that. With the Ubiquiti product, you have to buy an AT switch. You'd have to replace your PoE switching if you're running off a PoE switch. We're also, the Ubiquiti product is 60% more expensive. We retail our product for $299. They retail that for $489. And then just from a customer or a VAR to use the product, if you look at the dimensions, weight and size of the product, we're about half the weight and half the physical size of a Ubiquiti product. So just ease of use in terms of mounting the product, and then how intrusive it is in the environment that you're locating it. That's also very important. So that kind of covers probably a number of thoughts that people might need to think about when they're thinking about what product they want to buy.
Thanks, Rob. That leads me on to my next question. There is a lot of competition already in the small business wireless industry. What stands Exclaim apart from rival companies such as Ubiquiti with their Unify range and Ingenious with their access point range?
I think rather than focusing on what we do, vis-a-vis those specific vendors that you've talked about, you have to look at it, what is the value that we're bringing, and from a holistic standpoint, what's the value? Why should somebody, if they're thinking about deploying Wi-Fi, why should they use an Exclaim product line? And I kind of like to buttonhole it into three different areas. First of all, this is not, small businesses at the end of the day are businesses, they're not consumers. So what we've done is we've produced a product specific to the small business customer with a set of business class features and functions, whether it's things like band steering or automatic traffic prioritization, airtime fairness. These are features and functions that we can get into that are very relevant to a small business. They're very relevant to making Wi-Fi considerably better than you would get in a consumer environment, but we've implemented those features and functions in a manner which is very, very easy for a small business customer to use. One of the challenges that small businesses have is that they're not hugely technically savvy from a Wi-Fi standpoint. They just want to get a product that's very good at what it does, relevant to the relevant to the environment that they have, but is really, really easy to use because they don't typically have some kind of dedicated IT staff, and they're not going to be particularly technically savvy themselves. Some of them may be, but many of them aren't. So it's just the right feature set for a small business customer. We combine that with a price point, which I don't think anybody's going to complain about. Again, if we want to be specific to the likes of Ingenious or Ubiquiti, and we're typically the same price or 30, 40, 50% cheaper than the equivalent products from those other vendors. So I don't think anybody's going to have any issue with the pricing of our products. And then thirdly, it's actually coming from a company, and I'm talking about Ruckus Wireless here, which is a recognized market leader in the enterprise space. So, we're up there, being the fastest growing Wi-Fi vendor for the last 4 or 5 years, a recognized market leader in both service provider and enterprise Wi-Fi, which those other vendors aren't. They may be recognized vendors, but they're not recognized market leaders in enterprise class and service provider Wi-Fi, tier one service provider Wi-Fi, and we are. And we're now delivering that quality of product to the small business customer. So it's the right feature set product with ease of use at the right price from the right organization. And that's why people should consider the Exclaim product line.
And finally, considering Xclaim products are aimed at the small business market, are there any future plans for any new products, considering anything aimed at the enterprise market could encroach on Ruckus products?
Yeah, I guess one of the challenges that we have bringing a product like this to market is that people will think, hey, I'm now going to get a Ruckus Wireless product at a fraction of the price. And they are going to get a Ruckus Wireless product in terms of the fact that it's developed by Ruckus Wireless and we stand behind the technology that we make. But when you get into the features and functions, they are somewhat fundamentally different. I think at last count there was something like over 1,000 features and settings that you could control within a zone director and the ZoneFlex access point family that Ruckus has. We probably have more like 10 to 20 different things that you can play around with on the Exclaim product. There is just orders of magnitude, almost double orders of magnitude difference in terms of the things that you can play with. And those things do matter when a larger company gets hold of an Exclaim product line. They're going to say, well, how do I do this and how do I do that? And the answer will be, we don't have that functionality on this product line. And for a small business, it's not relevant. So why do we don't burden the product with those things, which by the way will then typically burden the cost and of course create more complexity in terms of deployment. So but to your point, we will be enhancing the product line over time, but we will enhance the product line always with an eye to what's relevant for that entry level part of the market. So for example, we plan to add things like social login capabilities. We think a lot of these things will be used in public access environments, bars, restaurants, cafes, and things like that, where you'll make Wi-Fi a part of your offering to attract people to your premise, allow them to get onto your Wi-Fi. A lot of people like to use things like their Facebook credentials to log in, and in return, whoever's offering the Wi-Fi service, that coffee shop owner, gets analytics about the clients who are accessing their network. So, we'll look to have that kind of capability amongst a number of other things that we'll add. But it will be very important to us that there's clear blue water between this product line and the other product lines that Ruckus has to offer.
That's great, and they sound some really good advanced future features for the Xclaim range. So we'll look forward to the analytics part, and that would really help, like you say, small businesses develop even further. So thanks for joining us today, Rob. The Xclaim product range is now available to purchase at 4G On Solutions. This has been a 4G Uncovered podcast brought to you by 4G On Solutions. For more information, please visit www.4gon.co.uk.